So I'm just going to head down to the food forest. You can see this is UK, so it's continental climate. What you can see, this apple tree is in full bloom right now, so we're going to get loads of apples. But this is the first point to consider when it comes to finding a place to grow food, or where is the best place to grow food, because it actually does depend on the foods you want to be able to grow in that area. For example, apples don't even grow in South Spain because they need a cold season, they need a frost, and they don't have that there, so it doesn't really work. And the same with tropical climates. Apples aren't that popular, because you obviously know they grow a lot of tropical fruits. And if you haven't seen a video I did on tropical fruits in Costa Rica, where I was this winter, I did a taste test of all the fruits to get my hands on in at the local farmers market. Completely different foods. I really liked a lot of the taste of them, but I don't think it suited my kind of diet. I prefer a different kind of diet. But if you're like a raw fruitarian, then tropical climate is pretty perfect, because you can grow fruits year round. But even that in its own has loads of different challenges you wouldn't think of when you're growing food. Like in Costa Rica, where I visited quite a few permaculture properties, and you literally need a full-time chop and drop worker, or you need to be able to go around your garden all the time with a machete, because stuff just grows so fast. And it doesn't sound like a problem, but it isn't a problem. But if you're not managing it and you want it to go wild, you'll end up getting a massive wild mess, just like jungle basically. And when it gets wild like that in a place like Costa Rica, that means you're going to have a lot of wildlife. And I'm not too fond of all the poisonous spiders and snakes. I don't want to be going around a lot of overgrown shrubs where there could be potential poisonous snakes. I much prefer a place where it doesn't have that threat, like in the UK or in the Mediterranean. You don't want to just go to a place where you think stuff just grows really easy and then realise you don't even like what grows there. Whereas when I know in the UK, a lot of the foods that I really like strawberries and berries, grow really, really well in the UK. In fact, strawberries is one of my favourite foods. Also, one of the main reasons that really is because I'm a tennis player and I have ambitions to get into Wimbledon. And if you know anything about Wimbledon, it's all about strawberries and cream. I don't have the cream, I have oat cream because I'm plant-based, but strawberries and cream, if you can grow your own strawberries, you're going to be having better quality strawberries than anywhere else that you can buy, because if you know anything about supermarkets and how they produce food, it's just nothing compared to what homegrown tastes like. This is the herb garden, by the way. I always pick some fresh herbs to eat when I'm walking past. Some spearmint, just coming up really good. This grows like a weed here. And then, in fact, you can see as well, food is medicine. That's why I think every time I walk past it, I think, let's get some medicine before I go and do some gardening. So yeah, I've got some fennel, mint, chives. Lemon balm is really good. When you have put some lemon balm and mint in some water or in some tea, in the fridge overnight in water or in a tea, it's really good. Tastes amazing. But anyway, when I came back, because I've just been back a few days now, I've been in Spain for a month, and I got to see what the climate was like there when it was pretty much dormant here. I've come back now to a lot of lush green life, which again is another really big factor to consider when you're looking for a place, because really the Mediterranean, even though you can grow so much stuff year round, the landscape is very different. Whereas we're in the UK, you see it's really lush and green, whereas in the Mediterranean it's typically very brown and sandy and rocky, and you can get kind of microclimates within that are greener and lusher, but generally speaking that is the way it is, because the Mediterranean is usually coastal as well, because that's why they have the mild winters. But you can see, look at the amount of currants now. I don't think I've ever seen so many currants on a single branch. Must be at least 1,000 on there. That's white currants. But yeah, the Mediterranean is a really interesting one, because I'm looking at starting a second growing project out there, because I think it has a lot of potential, and it also contrasts the UK, which would be really good to have access to. Look at that there, red currants. But at the same time, I'm also aware of the fact that it's not perfectly suited to me, because the summers in the Mediterranean is effectively, well, speaking to a local, and he said effectively the summers are their winters. The 2 months, July and August, even though they're really nice and sunny, it's almost too hot in the middle of the day to go outside, so you spend most of the days indoors. So that's sort of the sacrifice, or that's like the winter for the long season on both ends. But whereas in the UK, when you come in July, August, that's when everything is at its best and all the berries are producing. Look how many we're getting here. These are red currants, you can see. This is about 3 years old, this plant. It looks so vigorous and healthy. See how many currants we're going to get in there, if the birds don't get some more before me. But yeah, like I said, this whole question around where is the best place to start growing food shouldn't be answered in one specific way, because that can sort of paralyse you to taking action, growing in your local place already. Because you'll probably find when you start growing food wherever you are right now, wherever you're born or where you're living, you might think certain things I don't like about this climate, or you might think this is perfect, but you haven't actually, if you stop yourself from starting a food growing project before you even answer that question, because it's a very hard question to answer, then you might set yourself back a lot, and actually you might not come to the right conclusion because you've not experienced it firsthand, what it's like to grow food in that area. Like I said, I really do like the lush green of the UK climate and the seasons, but I also do think it's slightly cold and it's slightly short growing season compared to the Mediterranean. And also, like, if you think about the length of the growing season, that also affects the produce, and that affects the diet of what you can actually consume from your garden. And for me personally, because I'm plant-based, I like to have access to the food in the garden most of the year round. And when you go to the Mediterranean, it opens up so many possibilities of foods you can grow. Like, for example, sweet potatoes is one of the best things I think it opens up the possibility for, where they just grow pretty much year round like weeds. That's effectively how they grow. And the fact that I can't grow that in the UK is actually like a setback. Personally for me, especially if you're from in a colder climate, like a colder continental climate where it's more north, like up in Scotland, you might not even like having the hot summers that the Mediterranean has, even though you might, in my opinion, you might like the longer season where you can grow year round, almost year round. Like he said, you can grow literally, the person I was speaking to said you can grow 3 crops of potatoes in a single year. Because you plant the first one in January, get a crop in early spring. That's when we're just planting our first ones in the UK. They've already harvested them, and then plant another one and repeat the cycle all the way into winter. Whereas here you can only do 1, maybe 2 if you push it. Like I say, if you're a raw fruitarian, fruit all year round, Costa Rica might be the place for you. And there's a lot of people actually choosing Costa Rica because it's such a set up place to do these off-grid homesteads, whereas UK is more on the grid. So I just realised after doing about 10 minutes of talking, I didn't actually answer the question that I set out to answer at the start of this video. So where is the best place to start growing food? Where is it? There's no one right answer. Now it's a spoiler, but there isn't really. You can create something special in every single location. Like I said, as long as you're not in the middle of the desert or you're in Antarctica, there I would say probably move. But anywhere else, you can create something pretty special. And like I said, each place will have different advantages and different drawbacks. No place is perfect, but this is the best thing about growing food. You can create something special everywhere, and it shouldn't stop you from starting something where you're born or where you're living now. You might think down the line, like I'm thinking now, I want to start a second project out in the Mediterranean because that appeals to me as well. But I'm never going to get rid of this one because I love the UK climate for what it is, and I love what potential it has, and I feel like I've created something very special here, like I could in the Mediterranean as well. So after all that, I know I didn't round off to a definitive answer, but I hope it gives you a good overview. Hopefully you liked the video. So if you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.